Hi guys, let us take a look at the problems that we will be solving in this series. I will cover the first 10 problems in this, the next in the other two videos. Let's jump right into it. The first question is that a particle A moving with a certain velocity has a de Broglie wavelength of 1 angstrom. It is given to us that the mass of particle B is 25% that of A and velocity is 75% that of A. Now we need to find the de Broglie wavelength of particle B. Using the formula lambda equal to h by mv, we get 1 angstrom equal to h by m of A multiplied by v of A. 25% is basically 1 by 4, so we have mb equal to mass of A by 4 and velocity of B equal to 3 into velocity of A by 4. Again, when we apply lambda equal to h by mv for particle B, we get lambda B equal to h by ma by 4 as derived before into 3va by 4 as derived before. When we simplify this, we get h divided by 3 mava whole divided by 16, and when we take the 16 to the numerator, we get lambda b equal to 16 by 3 h by mava. H by mava, as shown before, is equal to the wavelength of particle A, which is 1 angstrom, and we get the lambda for B as 16 by 3 angstrom, which is approximately 5.3, and we get option B as the answer. In question 32, we need to use Heisenberg's uncertainty principle because we have to find the uncertainty involved in measurement of velocity. Now here they have not given the mass, but since the particle is an electron, the mass can be considered as 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kilograms. We have the distance or uncertainty in distance as 0.1 angstrom, which in SI units is 10 power minus 11 meters. And using uncertainty x into uncertainty p equal to h by 4 pi, we get this equation 10 power minus 11 into 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 uncertainty in velocity equal to value of h 6.625 into 10 power minus 34 divided by 4 into 3.14, which is 4 pi. Now approximately 9.1 can be written as 9. So 9 delta V equal to 1.656 divided by 3.14 into 10 power 8, which approximately turns out to be 5.79 into 10 power 6 meters per second, which is option C. Now in the next question, the density of water is given as 1 gram per ml. We have to find the volume occupied by one molecule of water. Now we know that 1 molecule of water equal to 18 AMU and 1 mole of water, that is 6 into 10 power 23 molecules, has a mass of 18 grams. Now from density we get 1 gram equal to 1 ml, so 18 grams equal to 18 ml. In other terms, 1 mole equal to 18 ml. To find the volume occupied by one molecule, we need to divide either side by Avogadro's number, which is 6 into 10 power 23. So we get one molecule equal to 18 by 6 into 10 power 23, which turns out to be 3 into 10 power minus 23 ml, which is option D. Now it is given 2.98, but the approximation is correct because some cases we take 6.023 into 10 power 23 as Avogadro's number. In question 4, we directly need to see which option matches the uncertainty principle, that is uncertainty of position into uncertainty of momentum greater than equal to h by 4 pi, which directly turns out to be option C. Let's move on. In the 35th question, it is told that electron jumps from 10th excited state to ground state, which means that the transition takes place from 11 to 1. We have n2 as 11, n1 as 1, and when we apply the formula number of waves formed equal to n2 minus n1 whole multiplied by n divided by 2, we get the total number of waves as 55. When we consider the spectrum for hydrogen, we have Lyman series representing the UV, that is any transition made from nth state to first state. So we have 10 lines, that is 11, 10, 9, 8 and so on until 2 to 1. The visible region is covered by the Balmer series, which is nth state to second state. We have 9 lines representing the Balmer series. And we can find the infrared region by subtracting the number of visible rays and UV rays from the total number of waves formed. We get that as 55 minus 10 plus 9, that is 55 minus 19, which turns out to be 36. When we equate UV as X, visible as Y, IR as Z, and put it into Z minus X plus Y, we get that as 36 minus 19, which turns out to be 7. Now, the 36th question states that water occupies 20 grams at a pressure of 1.2 atmosphere and temperature of 4 degrees Celsius. Now, in this case, we might think of applying PV equal to nRT, in which case we would get option B or option C. But we must remember that the melting point of water is 0 degrees Celsius. So at 4 degrees Celsius, we have water in the liquid state and not gaseous state. So we cannot apply the ideal gas equation. The density of water at 4 degrees Celsius is approximately equal to 1. So for 20 grams, we get the volume as approximately 20 ml, which is option A. The 37th question states that equal masses of iron and sulfur are heated together to form FeS. Now we have to find the fraction of original mass of excess reactant that is left unreacted. The atomic mass for iron is 56 and that of sulfur is 32. Now we can consider any units to solve our problem. We could even consider it as 56x grams of Fe and 56x grams of S, but for convenience, let us take it as grams. Now when we consider the equation Fe plus S gives Fes, we have 56 and 56 giving 0 grams initially, but after the reaction, all of Fe has been converted to FeS, but only 32 grams of sulfur has been converted, leaving behind 24 grams of sulfur unreacted. Now we have the mass of unreacted reactant, we have the original mass, so we can find the fraction left unreacted by dividing 24 by 56, which turns out to be 0.43, which is B option. In the 38th question, we have been given a simple reaction. Li gets converted to Li3 plus 3 electrons, but actually this takes place in 3 different steps. First Li gets converted to Li plus, then Li2 plus and then Li3 plus. Now the first reaction Li to Li plus would take 520 kilojoules, which is given in the question. And when we subtract 520 from the total energy 19800 kilojoules, we get 19280 kilojoules, and the sum of the two values in all the options satisfies only for option A. So we get that as the answer. In the 39th question, we have been given the ionization energy of helium plus. Helium plus is a hydrogen-like species, so we can apply the Bohr's model of an atom. Ionization energy is the energy that is required to remove an electron completely from the atom. Now the Li2 plus equals E naught multiplied by Z square by N square. Now we cannot apply this formula directly because that would take too long. Instead, we can directly do it in a simple manner. Now the ionization energy for helium plus would be Z square by N square multiplied by E naught, where Z equal to 2. Since N is a constant, we could directly multiply the ionization energy for helium plus with Z of lithium whole square divided by Z of helium whole square. That is ionization energy of helium plus into 9 by 4. which turns out to be 44.1 into 10 power minus 18 joules per ion. That is option A. In the 40th question, we have been given the kinetic energies of an electron, proton, and an alpha particle. We can apply the formula lambda equal to h divided by under root of 2 mke. Now, this question we just need to substitute the values for mass and kinetic energy of the respective particles and we would get our answer. For the case of electron, the mass is very low compared to proton and alpha particle, due to which the denominator will be very low, giving rise to a high wavelength. In the case of proton, let us consider the mass as mp, which simplifies to become h by root 8 mpe. And when we substitute mass of alpha particle as 2 into mass of proton, we get the wavelength for the alpha particle as h by root 8 mp into e. We get the mass of proton, sorry, we get the mass of, we get the wavelength of proton and alpha particle equal and the wavelength of electron is high. So we get the A option as the answer. Let us continue this in the next video. Thank you for watching.